Right, people, we reconvene our meeting on the long-term plan hearings of submissions. We'll start with the karakia.
Kia
Thank you. We have an apology from Councillor Nelson. Somebody prepared to move with the apology. Councillor Barry, second Councillor Helena. All in favour?
Aye.
Thank you. We also have Councillor Lennox online. Again, I'll repeat from what I said yesterday to people on live stream that there will be councillors again tomorrow who will not be around the table, but the councillors who are not here at meetings have been requested to view the hearings on YouTube over the weekend so that they are hearing exactly what we're hearing today. So submitters are not losing out on anything as far as that's concerned. The way we'll work it today, we'll go through to around 10:45. We'll have morning tea. Once we resume, we'll go through to lunch at 12. Resume again, go to 3 o'clock for afternoon tea, and then we will go through to the close of day at around about 5:35. So we have an extremely busy day with heaps of submitters, but after yesterday's really good presentations, I think we're probably all really looking forward to it. So, without further ado, we'll start off with Tony Beach. Tony, the rules are pretty simple here. You get 7 minutes to speak. We get 3 minutes to ask you questions, and you just go for it.
Yeah. Good morning, and thank you for hearing me today. My submission to the long-term plan is that the Council renew the resource consent WAR 160328 to take and use water from the tributary of the Makura stream to irrigate the fields at the Marist Rugby Club. The consent expires 30 September 2026. This tributary is spring-fed, so the level does not drop, if at all, during the summer months. In a dry summer-autumn, our fields are not safe to play on, and this limits the teams and what they can do for practice while using them if they are not watered. We have 2 senior teams and 10 JAB teams, so we need somewhere to play and practice. The fields are also used by schools for things like Ripper Rugby Tournament, Wairapa Bush for various tournaments, and pre-season games. Our players do not like playing or practicing on the synthetic pitch nearby. I'm sure Marist would let other clubs use the fields to play and practice on if they required a grass field during a dry summer-autumn, if it is irrigated and playable. Sport is an important fabric of our society and a huge factor in wellness, both physical and mental. So it is important that every opportunity for sports participation is made available to our rangatahi, our young people. Thank you for your time. Do you have any questions?
All right, questions for Tony? Any questions? Councillor Holmes.
Tony, you're aware that this requirement's a regional council requirement, really, and it's not a. So, if it's any advice, I'd sort of ask you to go to regional council as well.
But the resource consent's in the name of the Masterton District Council.
Okay, fair enough.
So, yeah, you guys hold the district, you hold the resource consent.
Yeah, thank you.
Any further questions, Councillor Helena?
Tony, you just want to unravel a little bit around the synthetic surface and what the issues are here?
Basically, I mean, my understanding talking to players, they don't like playing on it, and when you drill down, and I've seen some of them, you get very bad sort of grass burns, whether you call it grass burns or skin burns, which seem to give infections. And very hard to sort of prove whether it's anecdotal or whatever, but there seems to be a higher injury rate from people playing on the turf than playing on the grass. Now, I'm not sure whether that's real or imaginary, but yeah, it's not a particularly forgiving surface to play on, so that, you know, a grass surface is a lot better to play rugby on. I know the turf has its uses, but yeah, if you gave players the option of a grass or a synthetic turf, they would play on grass.
Any further questions, councillor? Would you stand up, please, councillor?
No.
Tony, does does Marist own those grounds, or do they rent them off the council?
No, we lease them off the council.
Lease them off the council.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Any further questions? No further questions. Well, thank you so much, Tony. We deliberate next month and we'll keep in touch with you.
No, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Have a good day.
Thank you. Nick Brandon. Is Nick here? Yep. G'day, Nick. Same story for you, Nick. You get 7 minutes to talk to us, and we get 3 minutes to ask you questions. Councillors have read your submission, but you just go for it.
Okay, thanks very much for hearing me today. Just by way of background, I was born and bred in South Wairarapa. I left in my teenage years, vowing never to return, and here I am. And I've been living in and around Masterton since 2007. I had a pretty good career in the commercial property area, working for a number of public listed companies, and then went out on my own as a consultant for the last 20 years of my career. So I've got some expertise in the commercial property field. Unfortunately, due to ill health, I retired early in my mid-50s, and we had to leave our lifestyle property in the rural area, and now we live in town. I want to talk to you specifically about what I see as a missed opportunity for the council and the residents in respect of the town hall and library. These are two draw cards. They can form a very powerful commercial hub. And I feel like we're going to miss the boat if we, first of all, build a new town hall in whatever form it might take on the site, on the existing site, and also do something to improve the quality of the library building on Queen Street. These two things, plus the council's own offices, can draw a lot of people to the area that they're located in, and that means foot traffic, and foot traffic equals commerce. So I'm concerned that if you can continue down the path that you're heading down at the moment with your recommendation for the town hall, that we'll lose that opportunity to co-locate those two major draw cards, plus whatever the council officers, whatever happens to that. The existing town hall, in my opinion, from my years of commercial real estate, is in a poor location for it, and if you reinvest in that location, it'll be another 50 or 60 years before it even ever comes up again. This is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to do the right thing, and don't just take the path of least resistance, which I think is what you're doing at the moment. I think if you can bring it all together in a central location, it's good for Queen Street. It's good to create more of a heart for the city. Sorry, it's a town. Sorry, no longer qualifies as a city. It's a town. It's a big town. I think if you're unsure about these things, you should take advice. There are professionals in Wellington, and if you need recommendations about names that you could talk to, I'm happy to do that. These are professional property consultants who make it their job to find the best solution for an issue, whether it's a commercial tenant or a government or local government occupier. So my advice would be take advice, get all the facts you need, but I think that what you're proceeding with now is ill-considered and will be a disappointment to most people. And I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you very much, Nick. Any questions for Nick? Councillor Goodwin.
You talk about that foot traffic generating economic strength. I'm just curious for your comments. The town hall will only get 10,000-20,000 people. The library is up around 200,000 people. And do you think that has made that end of town thriving and bustling? Because it wouldn't appear to be that way.
No, well, I think most town centres are struggling at the moment, regardless of where they are and what facilities they have. But yes, I agree that the major drawing card is the library. It attracts the most foot traffic. But if you co-locate those other activities there, it's a cumulative effect, and people get used to coming to a hub where the town hall is there, and there's all sorts of things that can go on at a town hall. You only need to look at Carterton's use of their event centre to see what other uses are made other than performance, or they hold all sorts of meetings and activities there. So, yep, you're right. The library's the main draw card, but the town hall can really add to that.
Thank you very much, Nick. Any further questions? Well, Nick, thanks so much for your presentation. We deliberate at the end of next month, or by the end of next month we'll have some answers. So thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks. Mark Gerling.
Good morning.
G'day, Mark.
Morning, gang.
7 minutes, 3 minutes for questions. There you go.
Thank you. Good morning. Chair, Mayor, Councillors. I was originally in favour of the proposed town hall on the original town hall site for 15 to 20 million. My position has changed. Some say it will never be as cheap to build a town hall as it would be to build one now. In truth, the cheapest option for ratepayers is not to build one at all, or not to build one until external funding can be secured to build one. We've not needed a town hall for 8 years, and we don't need one now. As we know, the best case scenario is that we'll end up with a building that's seldom used. The demand analysis Masterton Civic Centre, also known as the Horwath Report, states that the business case for developing a large flat floor function and event space is not compelling. Masterton is seen as a poor venue for events with lack of access by air, poor road access and virtually unusable rail access for events. The Horwath Report concludes that most events would be for smaller numbers of people. With other words, we already have plenty of venues that can cater for the number of people we're likely to get. We've heard from proponents of the town hall that we need such a venue to attract the New Zealand Symphony Orchestra and the Royal Ballet. Put simply, they won't come, even if we had a town hall. They could come now, considering the hall's available, but the New Zealand Symphony Orchestra and the ballet do not come to provincial towns because it's cost prohibitive for them to do so. If we're lucky, we'll get a string quartet. It's about as good as we can do. The Wairarapa and specifically Masterton already have venues that can host shows for up to 1,200 people. The Wairarapa College Hall, within easy walking distance of the centre of town, can seat up to 1,200 people with 856 on the flat floor and 344 on the sloping mezzanine. The venue is available for hire at a modest cost of no more than 1,100 per full day, including sound, lights and aircon, with cheaper options for part-day hire. The Rathgill College Auditorium, a venue with sloped seating and great acoustics, is only a short distance out of town and can seat up to 750 people. Both venues are rarely used and are available for hire. I've checked with both venues. Then there's Copthorne Solway, which can seat up to 500 people and provides catering. What we don't need in Masterton is a 700-seat hall at enormous cost to ratepayers when we already have 2 halls and other facilities we can use at minor cost. When taking account of the many other things we need to spend money on, such as infrastructure renewal and spending on the library and other civic structures, then the idea to spend 42 to 50 million, plus interest, so more like 100 million if one calculates it like a mortgage, on a mostly empty hall leaves me cold. By all means, let's expand Waihata House so that we need not lease office space for council staff and can accommodate all staff in one place. We can also that way accommodate civil defence. But let's move on from the idea of a town hall. We could extend the green space and do without a hall quite nicely, as we've done for the last 8 years. One need only look at the Council's infrastructure strategy 2024 to 2054 and the Council's wastewater asset management plan 2021 to 2031 to gain an insight on what we need to spend on must-haves as opposed to nice-to-haves. The infrastructure strategy 2024 to 2054 includes 5 million on wastewater in 2027, 8.4 million on the sewage plant between 2025 and 2028, 7.9 million on the water supply in 2027 and 2028, 36.3 million on the sewage plant between 2032 and 2037, 26.2 million on the Matakona Road by 2034. That's almost 84 million. We simply can't afford a new town hall, and we don't need to save the facade. It's not old. The facade dates from between the late 40s to early 50s, as far as I can tell. The original facade pre the 1942 earthquake was quite pretty. This one is not. All the decoration was removed. As for the library, we have a good library, which with a little work can be a great library. The minor leaks and mold problem in the basement can easily be fixed at modest cost. I've been in the basement multiple times, and I can assure you that what's being talked up as a major problem is in fact a minor problem with relatively cheap solutions, which could already have been fixed under any normal maintenance program. They've known about those leaks for more than 5 years. We do, of course, need a permanent solution for the archives. So I would suggest that any expansion of the library should at least include consideration for the front desk of the archives. As I've stated before, an actual archive storage can be located in industrial space. It doesn't have to be in the middle of town. Lastly, I'd just like to comment on cycling and cycle trails. Anyone who's spent time in central Otago will know the benefits of good cycling trails to a region. Research reported by the Otago Daily Times show that the total spending by visitors along the New Zealand Cycle Trail network was estimated at 951 million in 2021 and around 20 million in visitor spending in Otago alone in 2023. The Wairarapa, with its proposed 200-kilometre Five Towns Trails network, will greatly benefit from cyclist tourism. We would do well to invest in the Five Towns Trail network rather than a town hall white elephant. We could be the central Otago of the North Island with our scenery and generally good weather, although perhaps not today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark. Any questions for Mark? Councillor Helena.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. I'm just wondering, are your notes available?
Of course.
Yeah. I'd like a copy at some stage.
I'll give them to you right now.
Cheers.
You're very welcome.
Any further questions for Mark? No further questions. Thank you so much, Mark, for coming in. And as I say, we deliberate next month and see what happens then. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. I might stay for a short bit.
Yeah, that's all right. Okay, Sustainable Wairarapa, Chris Peterson. Not going to tell you how to suck eggs. Chris, you can just get up there and... 7 minutes, mate.
Yeah, kia ora koutou. This is quite a wide-ranging submission, as you will have read, and you can't sort of talk to all points. So I've got the short straw and been asked to speak to it, so I guess I can focus on what's most important to me anyway, and that's climate change, of course, so you won't be surprised. And I really am here to really congratulate the council, because over the years I've certainly seen a progression from the days when, if climate change was mentioned at all, you know, the person speaking would be told to shut up and sit down, more or less, in as many words. And then the council moved on, and we signed that declaration or letter to central government, asking them for action to do things. That was at the local government conference in Christchurch, and the majority of councillors signed up to that, including our council, and that was a really proud moment for me that we did that. And then we almost made it to declare a climate emergency when the young people in the town, the students, when they were organising that student strike for climate, when they came to council with a petition for us to sign the emergency, and we almost did it, but then we backed off. But we did say, by our actions, you can judge us, and we will do it all. All but we'll hold to it. So I really want to commend the council on the document in the first place, and also to you, Gary, for your mayoral message. And I take heart when you say that that climate change and resilience to climate change will be front of mind in all decisions in the plan, and I really take heart, and I mean, it's one line in a document is hard, but I'd like to think that that was made genuinely, and it is the way the council will roll in the future, because there are also some quite worrying stats in the document. I mean, you look on page, well, put my glasses on page 8. It's got climate change and resilience, and you talk about a possible temperature rise of 3 degrees by 2090. Now that's going to be catastrophic, and will have tremendous implications, not just environmentally, but socially and economically, and for our agricultural base, and for our livelihoods. So, and we don't need to be reminded about the threats of sea level rise and floods and droughts and things, but I guess you need to start with that. With that realistic sort of appraisal of what the science is telling us, and what the overriding consensus of scientific opinion is, that if we don't pull finger, things could get a lot worse. So I'm asking council to really consider climate change as an important ruler to run over everything we do, everything the council does, as well as the economic factors, or the economic requirements and drivers. And we talk about resilience, and I mean, we often, I think that we need to be involved with this climate change stuff, to save the planet and save the world and save the polar bears and things. But it's now, resilience is not about that. Resilience is about looking after ourselves and what's going to be best for us and for our future, and for our kids and for generations to come. For us here in the Wairarapa. So it has got a what's in it for me factor to it. So long story short, what I'm really saying, of course, is that I would hope, with all those good words, that you're now going to walk the talk, and that you will continue to fund the Climate Advisory Group and the community facilitators, and not. So I'm not supporting your preferred option. I'm just asking you to really consider that alternative option 2, which is in these pretty desperate cost of living times, is going to be a big ask. It's asking for $11 per ratepayer per annum. So, and I think the opportunity costs and the advantages and the benefits and the resilience that will confer by involving the community, because unless you take the community along with you, then nothing's going to work. So I'd ask you to maintain the facilitators, because otherwise you just get a mishmash of ad hoc decisions, and to double the contestable fund from 50,000 to 100,000, because we've had that going for, this is our second year. There's already the number of applications have doubled, and repeated surveys show that the community here in New Zealand and globally are really concerned about climate change and want their leaders to do something. So, and as for the rest of it, I find it really quite sad, with that cost cutting, that sort of bean counting with the services, cutting back on the services. When you look at the cost of that, $1 per annum or $2 per annum or $3 per annum, and I can't help but thinking that, sure, that might sound great and might appeal to many ratepayers, as long as you're not a small business looking to look into tourism as your to keep your business going, as long as you're not a cyclist, as long as you're not getting older like myself, or as long as you're not a refugee, trying to adapt to a whole new culture. Yeah. So, and I guess that same sort of bean counting approach, I think is unnecessary with regard to the overall funding, whether you're going to go from funding on putting it all in a contestable fund to be allocated each year. That's a really pain in the whatever for all community groups that are just wanting to do things and are doing things, and it's that voluntary input to our communities that really is in the end is the strength of a community, and it is what community is. So I'd ask you to sure there may be a bit of a degree of inequity or possible inequity in it, but I'm sure that that response of putting it all in a contestable fund and make everybody wonder every year whether they've got funding for another year is really worth the coin. Yeah. So, and you for the rest of it, you'll see what the sustainable wire and what generally I think people with an environmental outlook across the community think in the 25 or 20 odd points that we make in the submission. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris. Questions for Chris? Councillor Holmes.
Chris, the submission that was forwarded by Don Bell that you haven't mentioned yet.
Yeah.
I just wonder, I only found out yesterday Don's leaving.
Yes.
Councillor Holmes, is it a question to do with the submission?
Yes, I'm asking that submission, which is right in front of us, the guy's leaving, I wonder who's going to take over?
Look, I think that's a very important point you make, David, and I've been trying to see whether there's a possibility of getting some sort of kororo, some sort of round table talk before he goes, so that he's put a lot of effort into that, and it'd be nice to think that when he leaves, that it's not just going to go on the shelf.
Because this is a very good document that doesn't need to be lost.
Yeah.
Especially with the council's got to look at every option of making money, and this is one way.
When I talk to you about the water resilience issue, we can talk about that as well. Yeah.
Any further questions to Councillor Tuka?
Kia ora, Chris. In your submission, you spoke to, you made a quote, or you said something about by our actions you can judge us. Who coined that?
Sorry?
Who put that forward?
That was Mayor Lynn. I remember her saying that. It was. We had 20 or 30 people in the council chambers that day. Most of them young people, and they were passionate because the student strike was the issue of the moment at the time, and a couple of days later, when they did that strike here in town, they had a couple of hundred people outside the town hall, and that's young people are worried and young people are concerned, and I think the council then, that was another council of course, but they said, we will do what we can for you, and I think your document shows that you're moving along that path, and care car, yeah, really good.
Councillor Goodwin.
Just wondering if sustainable, I realise that you run out of space, but have you got a view on the town hall proposal?
Yeah, and it's, I think we probably reflect what Mark was saying before, that there's some sadly, and all as it may be, we really need to really justify why we would want to retain the facade and build behind it, because it's hard to see what you might build behind it if there's not if there's not going to be the demand to justify it. Yeah. It's a lot of money at a time when we face such huge financial and other uncertainties. I hope that reflects. I mean, obviously, in a reasonably large organisation, you get lots of different nuances and opinions, but I hope that's the consensus that I'm reflecting.
Good morning, Chris. Just coming back to climate change, if council were to commit a couple of million, 5 million, maybe 10 million to climate change, what would you advise?
It wouldn't cost anything like that. But the bottom line, I think, is that and James Renwick, probably our leading climate scientist, summed it up. He was asked that same question. What would you do to really move this along? And he said, you've got to talk about it. And I think that's establishing a dialogue with the community and showing leadership, showing that the council, wouldn't it be great if we had some sort of aspirational target that showed that the council weren't just, it wasn't just the words, that they were really going to do something. I mean, maybe and it's in the plan somewhere as something to consider. Looking at PVs or whatever on top of the rec centre, where it's something the whole community, or many people in the community, will see every day, and say, our council's on board, our council's running with us. We'll do what we can to support them. So, talking, and that's why I think and supporting the community actions that we had that mantra, or we've got that mantra, I hope still, community-led, council facilitated. That's the role of council, is to, and it's not going to require a lot of money. It's just to show a bit of leadership and coordination.
Chris, any further questions? No further questions. Thank you so much, Chris. Much appreciated. And we'll We'll let you know what happens in the next month.
Okay.
Good to see you. Okay, Peter Laird is here. Peter? Peter, you have 7 minutes to speak, 3 minutes we have for questions. You're being live streamed. Over to you.
Good morning, Mayor, councillors, iwi representatives, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to my submissions regarding the Masterton District Council's long-term plan. My name's Peter Laird. My wife and I own and live in Titoki Street, Masterton. We retired to Masterton in January 2011 from Auckland. We chose Masterton to retire to, having holidayed in the Wairarapa for a number of years. We found that Masterton, the Wairarapa, is a very beautiful, convenient and easy place to live in. We've not regretted the move, but we would like to have a better rail transport to and from Wellington, less parochialism, and of course far better water storage and retention to utilise the very adequate rainfall that is available. I have considerable sympathy for you as councillors and staff. It must be soul-destroying for you as councillors and staff to prepare a long-term plan and then updates of them, to satisfy the requirements of central government who do not provide the funds to perform the tasks that they increasingly push and dump on you as local government. It would seem to me that a long-term plan, with all the uncertainty that this country has, together with severe weather events, can only be an educated exercise, a guesstimate, a hope-for list, and increasingly, we hope not list. This year, together with the cost of living crisis, recessions, the aftermath of COVID, with more to come, increasing redundancies in Wellington that will severely affect the Wairarapa, and with a further 26,000 more recession and unemployment forecast still to come, together with a society that still expects government and local government to provide more and more free lunches. That needs to stop. I think councils need to concentrate on those that want to engage in a community and society. Remember the 80-20 rule. And I'm not saying who the 20% are. They're anybody who doesn't want to engage, who actively doesn't want to engage. Think of the 80% of people that do. Now, of course, we come to the long-term plan, and you have the problem of this floating time bomb that the previous council and chief executive left for you to diffuse. That's the town hall fiasco. If the previous council and chief executive had thought and acted prudently then, and had built a town hall complex appropriate to Masterton's needs at that time, and on that existing site, we might well have had it today. But now the world's changed, and with all the economic and infrastructure problems, that have and are occurring and will continue and are forecast to continue, Masterton simply cannot afford a town hall. So it's best to put everybody out of their misery and demolish all of the town hall, but not the civil defence building. Remember the maxim, if it's not broken, don't fix it, and you can't afford to fix it anyway. Time has indicated that we can do without a town hall. And in this economic environment, we, as a community and as a council, can't afford to indulge ourselves anymore. We have adequate halls in Masterton for most every function. There are far more urgent matters to solve. And anyway, the existing site of the town hall, really looking to the future on State Highway 2, is absolutely the wrong place for a town hall for performing arts or anything. Frankly, the site of the old Cosmopolitan Club, 2 road frontages a little bit further away, would be absolutely far better. My comment is demolish the town hall. I actually note in Mayor Caffell's column in the Times Age of Saturday, May the 18th, he asked for some other options from left field. Perhaps the facade could be retained with a sign on it that's a monument to the previous council's lack of prudent financial governance and action. With all the economic and infrastructure problems facing the council and New Zealand in general, and when you councillors are faced with trying to make decisions and balance the books, be very mindful of statements made only a few weeks ago by the Prime Minister. He made that at, just for your reference, up in Wanganui. He said, when you as councillors, and he was talking to the local councils, plural there, are faced with trying to make decisions and balance the books, be very mindful of statements that, I've got out of place there. The Prime Minister said, every local council needs to focus on the must-do, not the nice-to-do, and they must deliver well on core services. Doing dumb stuff has to stop. He also actually made some interesting comments over the pay there on that day, and he said, we need to find a way to incentivise councils so that they can actually participate in growth and get some revenue from that. And he then went on to say he was not interested in working with individual district councils. I want to see sub-regional approaches. We have 4 councils here in the Wairarapa for about 50,000 people. It's the size of a decent suburb anywhere else. You really need to get on and amalgamate. Anyway, cutting to the chase, if you go to page 38 on this very fine book, and really, in my considered opinion, the infrastructure investment, that's where you need to concentrate. Excluding, of course, the town hall. And actually, if you look at that, by some calculations, if Masterton District Council increased your rates by 100%, you still would not be able to do all the core infrastructure that needs to be done in Masterton, you wouldn't have the money to bring it up to speed. And Master District Council and all councils in New Zealand need to think and act as if we are at war, because we are at war on an economic and financial basis. I'd also like to ask Masterton District Council to stop some wasteful spending. And some of it might be small bickies, but I live up in Titoki Street and I walk around the reserve, that reserve, Tankersley, Cody, Manukau Street. In the last couple of weeks, 2 very fine signs have been put up. I estimate that they would have cost at least $5,000 each. They have been placed within 3 metres of existing signs. Why couldn't they have been placed somewhere else? There are other access ways to that reserve. Does this council, when they embark on projects, require the councillors or staff to come up with a business plan? You have a very fine coronation hall in the park. I think we're on the 3rd or 4th organisation that's working there. It makes a superb facility in summer for coffee and lunches. But they've all gone and closed. Does nobody making these decisions realise that in a place like that, it's a summer-only occupation? Why doesn't somebody calculate the rent and give them a rent holiday for the middle of winter? And of course, also the skate park, a superb skate park. But why did you waste all that money and you still haven't got loos there? If somebody had had a business plan and given it some thought, you could have kept the existing skate park, put a skate park somewhere south in Masterton, but further down at Kurapuni, and that would have been a whole lot better. And you talk about a beautiful Queen Elizabeth Park. Tourists coming to Masterton from the north, they come round the corner and all they see is a couple of portaloos on a rubbishy old trailer. You know, we need to think.
You've only got about a minute left, and we won't have time for questions if you don't.
All right, any questions?
Are you happy now? Happy for
Yeah,
questions?
fine.
Okay. Stella. We've got Stella online, Councillor Lennox online.
Yep.
You got a question, Stella?
I do, thank you. Just a query around your submission. You had ticked the box council preferred option for the town hall, which was to demolish and then rebuild. Yet you're talking quite differently today in your submission. Have you changed your mind?
Yeah, I definitely have changed my mind because the economic conditions have got a whole lot worse.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. I just need a clarification from your written submission versus
There are
your
some other contradictions, but they're based on the present situation and looking to the future.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? No further questions. Thank you very much, Peter.
Yeah.
Much appreciated.
Could I just add one thing more? This very fine publication, I think it's in your all interests. Page 52, your decision makers. I look at it and there's a lot of lovely smiley faces. But what do you people do? Instead of saying general ward councillor, at-large councillor, it would be a whole lot better for the transparency and governance of council to actually say what their portfolios are. Surely each of you has some responsibility for some function of council. It's modern good governance and good management practice. This page tells people nothing.
Thank you, Peter. I would just mention there that we don't actually have portfolios. We go on to committees on other organisations. We do represent council on committees, but we don't have straight up portfolios.
Well, I think, with all due respects, you need to adopt modern management and governance functions, because most organisations today, large and small, voluntary and otherwise, apportion portfolios. Thank you all. Thank you for listening to me. If anybody has any further questions, you know where to get hold of me. Thank you.
Okay, John Waddington. Hi John, you've been here before too, so you know the rules. 7 minutes, 3 minutes for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just listening about the mention of Masterton Reserve. As I left home this morning, the chatelaine of Masterton Reserve said to me that she wanted me to mention 2 words to the committee, and that is poo bins. Having been married to the chatelaine for the best part of 57 years, I can assure the committee that that issue will not go away. Why I'm here, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, is 6 years ago at a previous hearing into the Town Hall and other issues. In my oral submissions, I made a plea to the Hearings Committee and to the District Council to, at that stage, make a decision as to where to go and carry that through. 6 years later, we are not there yet. I appreciate that for some time there was a wish in the minds of the District Council to try and reach a consensus decision. But after 6 years, we have had more than enough public consultation. In my respectful submission, the Council has a clear responsibility and a duty to now decide the path you're going to go down. And you have all the information, I respectfully suggest, that you need to make that decision. I don't believe that any more time needs to be spent on other matters. Let us make the decision in the interest of the district and stick to it. That is basically my submission.
Well, thank you so much, John. Questions for John?
Hi John.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear quite well at the beginning when you said about the reserve. What was the 2 words?
Poo bins.
Poo bins. Thank you.
Councillor Goodwin.
I gather from what you're saying that you're perfectly happy with the last town hall proposed in the last council, or this one. I'm just curious.
I, like a lot of people, have moved around in the winds, and I'm not even sure now there's some positives in everything, even in removing the whole thing. In 1967, I was opposing the Ring Road. If that had been gone through, then the issue about the town hall being the right space would not be there. But that died over the next 5 years. Things change. I'm pretty ambivalent. All I'm asking is a decision is made and we stick to it.
Thank you, John. Any further questions? No further questions. Thank you so much, John, for your submission, and no doubt you'll be following the discussion as we go along. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Is Jeff Walker? Hi, Jeff.
Good morning, everybody.
7 minutes, 3 minutes questions.
Yes,
You'll be on live stream.
thank you. Can you hear? Okay. This is the first time I've ever done anything like this, so I think
Can you
it's...
talk into the microphone, Jeff? It's a bit difficult.
Sorry there. Can you hear okay now? Yeah. Okay. I was just saying this is my first time I've ever made a submission to anything like this, so I think, congratulations everybody for having this available, Now, and most of you possibly know me, but I've just returned to Masterton after 7 years in Africa. I was actually born in Masterton, so that I've been around. First thing I wanted to say was, my first impression coming back to Masterton was how smart the place is looking. And that's a credit to the councillors for doing their things and having the council going. The parks look good, everything looks good, the skate park's fantastic. But back to this long-term plan. My submission was about maybe around the town hall, because that seems to be the focus. I would, as a last resort, really think that keeping the facades a possibility. But, my thing is, I don't really think that anything is worth keeping. There's no buildings of significance really in the town hall precinct. The end point of that is, what can we afford? What can be afforded? Is there anything even necessary? I like what you said, John. A decision needs to be made and action taken, because even though I've been following it, and this has just gone on and on and on and on, and that doesn't help anybody. And of course, while it's going on and on and on, the costs are going up and up and up. That's reality. But the other thing I wanted to say is, what we've got to concentrate on primary services. That's the reality. We're in tough times economically, globally. I'm very globally aware because of my travel, and what we've got here is no different from anywhere else. So everyone's facing the same problems, but what can we afford to do? That's the question. Really is. And that's for you people. But I just want to say one other thing, and I've sort of, since I come back and I've got young boys, I've been at the skate park a lot, and it's fantastic, and that's a real credit to the council for putting that there. But it can be a problem area, with people who aren't skating hanging out there. And, I noticed, that they vape and things like that. Now, I see the rules are no vaping, so a little bit of enforcement, is probably not a bad thing, and whether that's the Maori wardens or whoever, it needn't be an expense thing, but I think that would be something good. But overall, I just want to say that's it, make a move on the town hall, and a job well done for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
Any questions there?
Back and Masterton. Any questions? Any questions? Councillor Goodman.
Oh, gee, I'm just curious. I'm not quite sure of your position on the town hall, and that you didn't take an option, but
Yeah.
the question is, do you think Carter, you've travelled around a lot,
Yeah.
Carter's and event centre, is that maybe too far away for Masterton people to access?
Yeah, I didn't take an option because I didn't think the options were really, what I thought needed doing, and I hadn't thought about it. That was okay, Now, but in response to your question, yes, I think, Masterton could have something, it could certainly use something, a venue. We'll call it a venue, whatever it ends up being, So I do, yes, thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Councillor Lena.
Yeah, Jeff, good to see you back again.
Thank you.
And when you say we need to consider what we can afford, can you expand on that?
Okay, just, I mean, it is tight times, and there's some spending may need to be deferred or not, and what are the essentials? I mean, I don't consider a new town hall as an essential thing because the town is functioning, like that would be what I'd say. So thank you for asking that. It's the first time I've done this. I'm not, I'm learning on the job too. Thank you.
Thank you. You've been very clear.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jeff.
Thank you.
And as I say, good to have you back in town.
Thank you.
Right.
Can I take a picture?
Pardon?
Can I take a picture?
Are you looking? Yeah, okay.
That's what I
Okay,
do.
mate. Just 20 minutes. Professional photographer.
Yeah. I'm going to take a picture. Yeah. That's good. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris Montgomery? G'day, Chris.
Hello.
Speaking for Enviro Schools. Chris, you get 7 minutes to speak to us, 3 minutes for questions. You're being live streamed. Pretty simple stuff. And if you've got a person you want to introduce.
And I had a presentation, just had some photos on it too, so hopefully that accompanies, and I'll try and let you know when to tend to change slides. So, kia ora koutou, ko Chris Montgomery tōku ingoa. Thank you for having us come in and looking at our submission and having us come to talk today. I'm the team leader in Enviro Schools for Enviro Schools in Te Upoka o Te Eka and Maui, and we're very lucky to have Jill Stewart, who's here with me today, who's been a long-standing local community facilitator in the Wairarapa area. So we've got, we've not even got a point. So we've got this first slide, and was also in the submission, just talks about the number of schools that are involved in the Enviro Schools network across Wairarapa. We're really lucky that in the last 3 years we've had an MOU across the 3 councils of the Wairarapa that have helped us, enable us to have a whole lot more of a coordinated approach to the work that we've been doing, and it's meant that Jill's been able to do some long-term planning with schools and enabling more schools to come on board, schools and early childhood centres to come on board, and also for some schools that have been involved in the program for a long time to really deepen their practice and show that, and take a bit of a leadership role with other schools in the area. So the next little while, I just wanted to show how the Enviro Schools program aligns with the long-term plan. So the next, shall I just change the slides with this, or, yeah, you can do that?
Do you want to see if it works?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, no, that was you. So, okay, I'll try it on the next one. So just really briefly, many of you might know about the Enviro Schools program. A key aspect of it is providing guidance and support for kaiako, that's our teachers, and akonga, our learners, to learn in, about and take action for the environment. And so we know that today more than ever, a kaupapa of empowered teachers and students is really important, and it's something that we really focus on. So those 3 boxes that that are on the screen that we'll talk to is how we work with our akonga, our students, how we work with teachers and help them with their practice, and also how we take a whole school approach and really meet the needs of the individual schools and centres. So I will, yes. First slide, this is just one example. In the submission we did a range of examples of things that have happened across the Wairarapa area, because we do have the MOU with the 3 councils, and Jill really works hard to try and have that eliminate the lines between the different district councils, because there's still lots of really great sharing that can happen across neighbouring councils. So this is an example of a ecological building workshop that was run at the Earth School last term, and it was a chance for children to come together and explore how nature builds things and then have a go at building and designing themselves. Often we like to have these kinds of experiences with the children being outside and learning outside, because it's a good opportunity to really explore and sort of take what they might learn in the classroom outside and vice versa. The next slide is talking about kayako, and I think even though in our submission we showed a photo of a Zoom call, the thing that we like to do with our teachers as well is have them learning outside, because that's when, in adults, we're a bit more conditioned to working inside and sometimes don't think outside about the benefits that being outside can bring, but actually it's when you're outside and participating in a workshop and experiencing the outdoors that a whole lot of things click into place and they can see ideas that will work in their classes. Jill's currently working with a group of early childhood centres this year with a deep lot of work with them. It's kind of like a community of practice. The group, they're a self-supporting group of early childhood educators. The next one, which many of you may be aware of, is these are photos of Douglas Park School, and Councillor Maramatuta was there last year, at the end of last year, when there was a holistic reflection that school had. That school's been involved in Enviro Schools for 20 odd years, and there's some really great examples of work that they're doing. But also when we were at that reflection time, there was a lot of it was a way that we could celebrate what where they've come and things that they've achieved, but also look at directions where they can continue to go. And they identified that there's definitely a whole lot more things that they could be doing. And Jill, as a community facilitator, helps to guide that work. And Douglas Park is also a school that shows quite a lot of leadership across the whole of the Wairarapa area in terms of what they've learned, the things that work, things that maybe didn't work, and how they've gone about tackling challenges. So Enviro Schools, hopefully those short examples showed how we build connections between people, communities and the environment. We've pulled out some of the key parts of your long-term plan that it absolutely engages with. And it also, I think, fills in a whole lot of gaps on a strategic plan. It's that community building and strengthening and empowerment of young people that really helps pull together the fabric of our communities. We did just want to say that we just coming back to this 3-year Wairarapa wide MOU. So we've had one for the last 3 years. We're in the process of renewing that across the 3 councils again. And as I said, we have found it really, really great to provide sort of planning certainty and also create really good connections between schools and centres. And the other thing that we are doing at the moment is working with the 3 councils across the Wairarapa on making the most of zero waste education, because as part of the waste management and minimisation plan, there is an environmental education component there. So, and sometimes it's been a bit hard for councils to engage with schools and deliver these zero waste modules. We've got someone like Jill who's got the connections and the long-standing relationships with schools, so it's a really good opportunity to develop some modules, and then also just take it not from just that interesting 1 hour of the class where the teacher doesn't, gets to sit in the back of the room for an hour, but actually turn that learning into some really good practices for across their school. So thank you for listening. Very happy to take any questions.
Thank you so much. Councillor Johnson.
Hi, thanks for that. Just a question, you talk about the 3-year MOU with the other 2 councils. Can you tell me what their financial contribution is each towards the program?
Yep, when it was done, it was correlated on a ratings base, so there was a the total rating is a percentage-wise. So we've got Masterton District Council in the last year contributed about 33,000, Carterton 12 and South Wairarapa 15.
Thank you.
So that's,
And you know your first slide, the number of schools, that number of schools is in what we've got as well?
yes,
Right.
it is, yeah. And so it's broken down to the 3 councils
Yep.
that were within it, yeah.
Thanks.
Councillor Helena?
Yeah, morning ladies, and thank you for your work, thank you Jill for your work. What's your total funding needs and what are your other funding streams of the councils?
The EnviroSchools program across the country is funded sort of at a local government level. So the EnviroSchools to Upoko or to Ika Amawi, there's some funding from Greater Wellington, and then all of other councils provide funding that contributes to the program. And really it's just the contribution of the amount of funding from the smaller TAs and dictates how many facilitator hours we can put into a particular area. So yeah, we just have to work it that way. And I think that I'm relatively new to this role, and I think the distinguishing factor between EnviroSchools and other environmental education providers is that it is that holistic, broad program that meets a school or a centre where they're at and helps develop a plan and connect people in. And that could be community people and it could be other environmental education providers. So that's why I think it's better not to be competing with other more specific environmental education, people who are interested in restoration planting or saving a bird kind of thing. We won't go for the same funding as them because it just otherwise we're cannibalising we want to work together with people.
Councillor Johnson?
Hi, just another question. Is there a cost to the schools to become part of the program?
It's not, no.
Okay.
Any further questions? Councillor Goodwin?
That 30-odd thousand this council provides, are you seeking an increase in that? I'm not sure if you're seeking an increase or just maintenance.
Yeah, the conversations that we've had with council officers to date has been that it'll be the same, similar levels, but just CPI adjusted. Yeah.
Any further? No further questions. Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much for your
Thank you.
presentation. And we deliberate at the end of the month. And thank you both in there. Thank you, Phil.
Thank you.
Okay, we now have a. Okay. The next is Emily. Emily's on her way.
She's downstairs.
He's on the way up.
Hi, Emily. If you can go straight in.
Oh, wonderful. Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay.
Hi, Emily. It's all pretty easy. You get 7 minutes to speak to us. We have 3 minutes for questions. You're being live streamed.
Wonderful.
That's about it.
Wonderful. Okay. Tēnā koutou katoa. Firstly, I'd like to introduce my supporters today. I have Tina Tatou and Reg Kemper, who are board members for Pukaha, so they're here in support of me today. So thank you for the opportunity to present in person. You will have seen that I've done a reasonably detailed submission with some information in there and numbers in there about Pukaha's situation. But I'm not going to talk directly to that detail today. What I want to do is to emphasise the importance of pukaha in our community. I would like to say that there are very few community organisations that deliver directly on multiple council objectives and goals. Pukaha is not only a large employer in the region, we're an anchor tourism destination, an education provider, a significant environmental project, and a really important voice for our cultural history. We thank you and we thank the council and acknowledge the support that we have received to date each year, and that funding that we receive is making a difference. It makes a real difference and allows us a level of certainty in our planning and certainty in our long-term security. We implore the council to continue this arrangement with a multi-year funding agreement. And we would also like to take this opportunity as well to support Destination Wairarapa in its bid for multi-year commitments. Without this commitment, it's incredibly difficult for us as an industry, as a tourism industry, to plan effectively for the years ahead and to continue to contribute the economic, social, environmental and educational outcomes that we deliver. So, in short, we would like you to continue to offer the security of multi-year funding. All community organisations are important in this district. We do see ourselves as a partner to the council. We also see our other fellow not-for-profits and community organisations as partners. We don't want to be competing and lining up each year, making applications and spending an enormous amount of time and money and effort to make applications and submissions. So I welcome questions from you and request that you consider our submission seriously.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you so much. Questions for Emily? Seems like everybody's satisfied. Councillor Leonard?
I'm really interested in your sort of ongoing funding needs, and you presented to council not so long ago.
Yes.
And perhaps just an expansion of where things have moved from there. What things are looking like if you don't get that funding, or have you secured that funding you need to continue the development? Yeah, where are things at? Bottom lines.
Bottom line, so as you're well aware, Pukaha is a not-for-profit in its truest sense. When we have presented to you recently requesting support to refinance debt that was taken on as a result of our investment in an environmental education centre and marae on site. We have, since the presentations to the council, received some support in the form of $1 million interest-free loan from Central Energy Trust, and that's taken the pressure off in the short term while we continue to fundraise and work very closely with other potential grant providers, donors, philanthropic groups and others to help us to ultimately pay down that debt. So the immediate pressure has been alleviated, and we'll continue to fundraise as best we can to get that debt down, which is not an ideal situation at all, carrying that debt.
Any further questions for Emily?
So just on that, so
yep.
Can I ask, so that $1 million debt, it's interest-free, and you'll be looking to fundraise to get that debt down, but that loan allows you to progress what you came here to progress previously?
Yes, that's right, that's right. So what that loan does is it gives us some breathing space. So if you take the current interest costs out of the picture, the new facility that we have built, the usage to date has far exceeded our expectations. We're very confident that we had it right at the outset. The demand is there. and the facility itself is quite extraordinary in the country, to be quite frank. So in the first 10 months of operating that wānanga, there has been a net profit of 50,000 come directly back into the organisation. That's keeping interest out of that equation. So obviously when you add in the interest costs, it's not an ideal scenario. So we've got that breathing space, we've got 5 years interest free on that debt, and a plan to pay that down.
And so your request at the moment is just a continuation of multi-year funding from this council?
That's right, yep.
I'd be very interested if you'd come back and talk a little bit more in depth about what's happening out there.
Absolutely, and I'd like to invite you all to come out and perhaps have a council meeting in our new whare. You'll be very, very welcome and experience it for yourselves. Stay overnight if you like.
Thank you so much, Emily. Well, thank you so much for your presentation, Emily.
You're welcome.
And we deliberate at the end of the month, so no doubt you'll follow.
Brilliant.
There we go. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Emily.
Colin Henry is not here yet, but we're 5 minutes ahead of time. So can we have it? Can we turn the thing off and maybe have a 2-minute break now? And then we'll Colin. We'll take a 2-minute break now. And give Colin the opportunity to be here. Okay, we reconvene. We've got Colin Henry here. Colin, you get 7 minutes to speak to us, 3 minutes for us to ask you questions. Off you go.
Okay, do you ring a bell at 1 minute or something before
We
this?
do ring a bell, but we'll just keep...
Bing, bing, bing.
Yeah, we'll keep you in touch.
Oh, thank you, Your Worship, and councillors, ladies and gentlemen, if there are any here. Thank you for allowing me to have a little speech here. I am pleased to hear it's been restricted to 7 minutes because I might be here till lunchtime otherwise, and that would be a bit of a problem, wouldn't it? One of the things I wondered about when I got a note that I was able to come and have a yarn, I thought, well, what the hell am I going to talk about? I would think that probably 90%, if not more, of the people that come up to see you today are going to be antis. And I'm not. So I thought, well, what I might do instead, apart from being complimentary to the council, the mayor, is some of the things you hear around town, you begin to wonder after a while how much brains these people have. Some of the things they ask and say, and I just picked out 1 or 2 of them. One of them was taking a referendum among the ratepayers to see what they thought. And I thought, well, that's a damned expensive operation to do for a start. You've already shown with 3 things, to my knowledge, that you definitely have a mandate. And the first one was the little exercise, hands around the town hall, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. That one was a cold, wet day, and a lot of people were there. The second one was arranged, I think, by the ratepayers, and the main speaker was Bob Francis. And that was well attended. But the one that really, to my mind, gave you the real mandate was the election. Now, here we had an election where I understand, I read in the paper that the mayor received more votes than all the other candidates put together. And I don't think this had ever happened since early in Bob Francis' days. I might be incorrect there, but I do know that the amount of votes you got for that. The other thing was that the councillors elected, for some unknown reason, the antis seem to have all been dropped off. And add those things together, that's a mandate. Now, if you're a government, a political party, and you got into power and you won the election, you might have only had 35 or 40% of the vote, and yet they call it a mandate. You had one. Now, from there on, the last 6 or 7 months you've been here have given you, I understand, an opportunity to get rid of some of the stumbling blocks that had been left over by you and your predecessors. Now, so that's one thing. So anybody saying that you need a mandate, you've got one. Anybody disagree with me? You do?
No.
No. Oh, I thought you might have, David. The other thing that I heard, and I heard it in this room, I think. No. Is this the room you had the meeting in about?
Yeah.
It is.
The Thursday meeting.
Yeah, that's right. And a woman at that meeting, I don't know who she was, she said you should do a survey of the people who might use the hall. Well, from my experience, mainly in Wanganui before I came here with theatre, if you haven't even got a building, you haven't started the building, you don't know how much is going to be charged, and you don't know what the building is going to be like, anybody who would be likely to come here with a theatre group or whatever is extremely unlikely to give you an indicating several years out. So a survey is just a time waster, which I think some of these things were brought up for. A time waster, thinking that if it leaves you long enough, you might forget about the town hall and not bother with it. That's one thing. And then this was the best one I've heard. Some woman told me the council should not be borrowing money. I said, how did you buy your house? Oh, that's different. I said, why is it different? Businesses borrow money to build buildings. Governments also do that. Why isn't a local body allowed to? The whole idea is you spread the payments back over a period. And that is considered to be good business. Oh, but a council isn't a business. I said, no, it may not be a business, but it has to be run on business-like lines. You people know that. I know, I'm just blithering on and filling in the time, I think. So that was those things there. But, I had another one too. Back to basics. And back to basics, evidently, the council should only be responsible for roads, pavements, street lighting, rubbish collection, and sewage and water. I said, what an awful place to live in. I said, we've already got a mayor here who's very good on checking on pavements. I don't know whether he's wasting his time when he looks in Opaki Road, because other pavements in Opaki Road, the council's responsibility, or is it the government, being a state highway? Council, good. Well, they get inspected every day. So if there's any potholes in those pavements outside my house, the mayor will have seen it. I'm being flippant, but some of these things are stupid. One of the things that, of course, is in their minds particularly is increased rates. Now, none of us like to pay more money for anything, insurance, rates, whatever. But unfortunately, it's one of those things. And the thing is that what you've got, if you've taken the amount of housing that has been built over the last year or so in Masterton, the number of ratepayers you're going to have within the next few years is going to be quite a bit more than there are today. And the other thing, I think we are only about probably 10 to 15 years at most away from being a city. Do we want to be the only city in the country that hasn't even got a town hall? Because I don't think there are many that haven't got a town hall. A town hall is a facility. It doesn't really matter whether, to my mind, whether it makes a profit or not. It's a facility for the benefit of the community and others. But I've got these little notes here. I'm not reading them, but I just so that I don't forget where I'm at. Anyway, the city status, and I mean, spending energies and borrowing somebody's hall in Carterton or somewhere, that's not good enough. not good enough at all. So I'll stop there, which is, I haven't used all my 7 minutes. But
Close.
Pardon?
You're close.
Am I closed?
You're close.
Oh, good. I'm 5 minutes away. Excellent. I had one particular question. I studied the presentation in the 27th of April's Times Age that David Borman did a presentation on with a plan, suggested plan of what the town hall could look like and the library. And but one thing that struck me was he showed in the illustration that the foyer of the hall could be used for alternate letting on its own. I think he showed an indication it looked like the grand piano sitting at the end of it. And then the next ones in were the kitchen and administration and a lift. But no indication what was being used upstairs. Now, if you put a staircase in, that didn't show on his plan either, and you had the lift would be going somewhere, because at the present time is nothing be used upstairs. What the hell have you got a lift there for? I'm sure he had an idea of a lift for some purpose. That would make a marvellous dress circle upstairs and probably increase the seating of the hall by at least 150, 200 people. And then makes that theatre that much larger as a theatre. And when you've got a facility which has got about 900 seats, you're getting to the stage which will attract commercial entertainers coming here. If it's too small, they won't come. The other thing, of course, is the acoustics, and I'm sure that's covered, because it's such an important thing. The particular theatre I'm thinking of is in Wanganui. Wanganui's Opera House is the oldest Victorian opera house in the country, and it's got first-rate acoustics, and it gets quite a bit of use. But I don't think I've ever read where the Wanganui City Council were concerned at some stage that making a profit. It's a facility that's there, just the same as your parks. Your parks are a facility. One of the best things the previous council did was the skating rink. You don't charge for it. You don't need to. You didn't. It's a facility here. Same with those toilets in the park. I think I've spoken enough. Thank you very much for your time. I hope I haven't bored the death out of you.
Thank you so much. Have we got questions for Colin? Yeah,
yes, Beck.
Yeah, I've got a question, Colin. Are you taking the lift on your way down?
I'll decide.
Oh, for those who didn't know, last time David and Colin left here, they went in the lift and the lift stopped midway and the fire brigade had to come.
Yeah. David rang on the phone from the left, and we, as usual, concerns around the country, they go out of their way to employ new immigrants. So people on the phone usually have people who have English as a fourth language, you know, that you can't understand what the hell they're saying. So after a while, David found out that they were actually ringing, it was Hamilton, wasn't it? It was Hamilton. And did they ask where Masterton was?
No, they asked where Lincoln Road was.
Oh, Lincoln Road, yeah.
Okay, we better not get into these conversations. Yeah, Doc, careful there now.
Thanks, Colin. You've been very entertaining
Yes,
to
John.
listen to. Look, you raised that concept, which I think is an interesting one around town hall being a facility, and we shouldn't be too worried if it doesn't generate a profit. I guess the question for you, that I have for you is, where do you draw the line around facilities? You know, where do you close them off, and which facilities would be the priorities in your view?
Well, I would say really that's a councillor's if I'm at 90, I'm a bit old to be on the council. But that's a decision the council would need to make.
Yeah, I'll just ask your opinion.
I was just doing a political reply.
Okay, Councillor Goodwin?
Yeah.
You mentioned that a survey or referendum would be a bad idea, and that the people don't really know who's going to use it. They don't really know what the final layout and look of it is, like what's upstairs and that sort of thing. So there's quite a lot of unknowns that would make a survey not a good idea. Do you think council should make a decision without that information and go forward, or should it seek the same gaps being filled that you raised?
I'd be interested to know if you could find anybody who would give you a worthwhile reply. Who would you go to? Would you go to impresario type people who had a covey of performers that they wanted to find venues for around the country?
Okay, they're called consultants, and if you pay them enough, they'll tell you what you want to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, but what I'm getting at is, are they going to look way into the future for a building that's not built? Acoustics they don't know of. All those things that you can't give them a guarantee on. You say, well, we're hoping to get started next week, or we're hoping to get started in 3 years' time. I hope not, in 3 years' time. But it's all guesswork. And they're not going to give you a categoric undertaking that they will use your facility, will they? No, that's what I mean.
Thank you, Colin. Any further questions? No further questions. Thank you so much, Colin.
Thank you.
Appreciated your submission, and we...
I approve of what David Borman has put in the paper. And the only thing I'd like to add is don't leave it till about a week before you're due to go to a new council, which gives them an opportunity to have further delay.
Thank you, Colin. Thank you so
Sorry
much.
about that. Yeah.
We deliberate at the end of next month, Colin, and we'll make the decisions then. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Right, morning tea. And we resume at 11 o'clock. Okay, we reconvene the meeting and Geraldine Durant. Hi Geraldine.
Hello.
Pretty simple procedure here. You get 7 minutes to speak to us, we get 3 minutes to listen, and you're being live streamed.
You mean questions, not listen.
Pardon?
You get 7 minutes to listen.
7? No.
Yeah. Okay, great.
7 minutes for you to present, yeah.
Fantastic. Brilliant. So, tēnā koutou. Thank you for inviting me today. My name is Geraldine. I arrived 4 years ago in Masterton, and I'm married to a Kiwi family who have descendant in the Turner family, who were promoters of peace when between Maori and Pakeha, and involved in facilitating negotiations for the Te Tiriti o Waitangi. Whakapapa that I'm still learning. I've got more to learn about it, but I'm keen to do so. Gary, Bex, councillors and fellow Mastertonian, my input today may be unsettling for some of you, but please be rest assured that my intentions come with aroha towards all Mastertonians, independent of their beliefs, wealth and origins. So, who in this room like to be entertained? Okay, well, I will try my best. I do too like to be entertained, but at what cost? The preferred option for the town hall will incur an average of $230 per household per year increase in tax. And that is 1 week, maybe 2 weeks of food budget for many families in Masterton. Who in this room is happy to go to the theatre at the cost of someone's food budget? Like many, I'm here to invite you to reconsider your preferred option for the town hall rebuilt at the suggested $42.6 million funded by the taxpayers. I understand that many of you have invested in time, energy, meetings, turning the town hall upside down, seeing it shake a few times to finally get to the final stage of the decision. And not seeing a new town hall in Masterton would be devastating for those of you who have invested so much of your time and energy. I understand, but at the cost of someone's food budget, please reconsider. I was fundraising for my children's school outside New World in Carterton last week. I started a conversation with a man who had just finished his work. He was holding a small pie in his hands, and he said to me, after our friendly chat, "I would love to help you, but this is my dinner and breakfast." This is one of many realities that I encounter in my everyday life in this town, working at the Wairarapa Women's Centre on Perry Street. I would like to expand my arguments with 2 reasons for not going ahead with the option. My first why is to help our future generation. I'm a mum of 3, and it only takes a few conversations with young people from 8 to 26 years old to hear their anxiety around the subject. I brought some illustration here from children from Wellington, who submitted the councils to the council's LTP. So these are a few slides. And these are letters that they wrote. So I'll just bring maybe slide before. But all of these illustrations talk about climate change, looking at what it is, looking at what is not being looked at. One of the quotes from the children is, "I think my top priority would be climate change, water pipes, and uplifting Te Reo Māori." We, as adults of our children, and specifically those in the wisdom years, have the availability, the insight from the past, the knowledge of now, and the ability to listen to our future adults and their concerns. We have to acknowledge and take responsibility for their future. We can no longer repeat what my parents and grandparents' generation said. They will figure it out. By building a new town hall at the cost suggested with the demolition involved, where are we demonstrating our commitment to environmental sustainability? Papatuanuku is giving an increasing number of warnings. When will we actually make real change to our behaviours? Our council can't expect $50,000 distributed to community organisations to take care of the task at hand alone. MDC here has a golden opportunity to be an innovator and bring hopeful changes to its community. We don't inherit the earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children. Be the change you wish to see in the world. My second why is to represent the people of Masterton who are in minority here, or possibly in minority. Slide 6. Despite being in the 21st century, the era of equity and inclusivity, these are buzzwords, women continue to face a barrier to equal participation. So I've counted 33 women who are being heard here this week out of 89, which is pretty good. I'm here to represent also the new residents, the working parents, the people who are too busy to making ends meet, those people who are scared to voice their opinion. Hopefully by talking today, I'm giving them some inspiration to do so in the future. From talking to a few people, I managed to record information from 30 plus people about the preferred option for the town hall, and here are my results. I know this is not 700, but I did it on my own. And here are some results. Where's the lectern? Here we go. So, one person, so this is, do you think a new town hall event centre should be built at the cost of 42.6 million? One person suggested to sell the town hall as it is and reinvest the money to expand and repair the library. I thought that was a smart idea. A developer can take care of it. And slide 8. So is it worth taking away our people's food budget to rebuild this town hall, when we have other facilities and a great event centre already in the Wairapa, at a time when food bank have had funding cuts? How can we provide more food for people who might be cut out of their food? What I read in the news daily lead me to think that the priority for Masterton and the rest of the world right now is to focus on addressing the scaremongering issues that are constantly fed to us on the news. Climate crisis, economic crisis, inflation, poverty, mental health. Masterton is a small city in a part of the world where positive, eco-friendly change can happen. The skills are at our doorstep. This is the place where I learned to grow a garden. Let's put Masterton on the map for its innovative initiative that respond to the demands of today and tomorrow. Let's help our future generation, our current people that find it hard to make ends meet. When I arrived in New Zealand 4 years ago with my Kiwi husband, I was excited at the thought of becoming trilingual, adding Te Reo Māori to my portfolio of languages. I was excited to land in what I perceived an eco-friendly country, ahead of the game in its environmental activism. Masterton can live up to this Kiwi reputation by implementing all of this in its LTP. And here's some of the suggestions, and I know we are probably running out of time, and it probably would be another 7-minute presentation, so I'll be quick.
About a minute, I think, Geraldine.
Yeah, great, thank you. I thought I was slower than that. So we are Wellington's backyard. So why do we want to have another big city like Wellington? Let's include biculturalism in any renovation. Let's start growing food in our town centres for our people who are struggling to get food from their own income. Renovate and expand the library, create multi-purpose rooms there where we can host some entertainment. Also, we can use it as a civil defence area. We can use it for the archive and some of Masterton's district council's functions. Without the burden of the town hall project costs, big decision 2, 3 and 4 no longer needs to be addressed in the same way. We can focus on infrastructure, a good hospital, water, roads. So to conclude, for our families and our future generation, let's have a plan where the extra tax paid pays off. Let's review this plan and make one more memorable for braving a new approach, one that is in line with the needs of the 21st century and beyond. Are you ready to be the change the world needs to see and make Masterton truly the best city in New Zealand?
Thank you, Geraldine. Okay, questions for Geraldine? No questions? Thank you so much, Geraldine.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thanks, Geraldine.
Thank you.
We deliberate early next month. Okay, Riversdale Beach Life Saving Club. David.
Good morning all, good morning Mayor, good morning fellow councillors.
David, you know the rules, so that he can tell you.
I'm just going to hand these out, guys. My name's Dave Rose, I'm the chairman of the Riversdale Beach Surf Life Saving Club. I'm here today to talk to the long-term planning, proposed changes from the long-term planning into contestable funding.
Thanks, Dave.
So I can just hand these out now. With me today is Charlie Caldwell, who is the Central Region Manager for Surf Life Saving New Zealand. Thank you.
If you want to sit up with David there, Charlie, just go for it. All right.
I have a chair as well.
Yeah.
So I've handed out 2 documents in our submission. The top document outlines the Riversdale Beach Surf Life Saving Club and its role in keeping Riversdale Beach and its 22 kilometres of coastline safe for all that visit and holiday and live at the beach. The second document covers what the work that Riversdale Beach Surf Life Saving Club does, not only in Riversdale, but in the wider community, which is north of Flat Point and south of Castle Point. I'll now ask Charlie to talk to that top document, and then I'll talk to the second one. Thank you very much.
I might just sit, if everybody doesn't mind. Dave, thank you for the warm introduction. My name's Charlie Caldwell. I'm Central Region Manager for Surf Life Saving New Zealand. I would like to start by talking about the excellent work that Dave does out at the beach in conjunction with the national body. To put it bluntly, last year we did 2,073 paid hours of lifeguarding service on that beach during the summer. Now, on top of that, and this is something that I'd like to emphasise, our volunteer patrols did 1,379 hours. So if you look at it coldly, the ratepayers of the Masterton district and surround are getting, for every hour that's paid for, they're getting an extra 60% of the service for free for our volunteer service. So it's really, really excellent value for money. On top of that, Dave and his team set a benchmark in the region, in the central region, which I look after, which is the bottom half of the North Island, in terms of endorsement of our beach education product. Now, what we do is we take school children out to the beach. They spend a full day out there. They learn about SunSmart. They learn about swim between the flags. They learn about how to identify a rip. They learn confidence, basically, in the marine environment. That costs them $17 for a full day with paid service, and that's done independently of the funding that is supplied by the Masterton District Council, so it's fully funded externally. On top of that, we have we're all the time looking for ways to employ local youth. We had 12 guards employed out there during the summer, and these are individuals who have achieved a professional qualification. So it's a very, very rigid employment process. To see these young men and these young women grow into these roles and to see them become the leaders of the future and take responsibility, which at times can be an extremely busy beach, and to make a legitimate and valued contribution to the local community is something which I find incredibly stimulating. Families can go to the beach and they can recognise that it's a safe environment. Mum and dad taking the family down to the beach, healthy lifestyles, getting out and around, being involved in the local community, it all has to have positive benefits. So whichever way you look at this, the funding proposal which Dave's put together and the work that's done by the club out at Riversdale is excellent value for money, but not only provide that, but provides excellent opportunity for keeping people safe on the beach during the summer. The final thing I want to talk about, and it's probably the most sobering, last year we rescued 14 people out at Riversdale. 14 people that went home safely to their families as a result of the work that was done. All right? 14 people who potentially were helped by Dave and his team when they got themselves into difficulty. They have families, they have loved ones, they have all sorts of things. So on top of that, we do an enormous amount of work with first aids, we do an enormous amount of work with people being assisted to safety when they're getting into trouble. So I would strongly ask the council to endorse the revised funding proposal that Dave has put together. Not only does it represent excellent value for money, it genuinely has a difference to the lives of people in the local community, and we would continue to do that. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Okay, so the second document, which is this one with a little logo on it, what I'd like to talk to here is, I guess, what we do in the wider community. So in that document, there's a letter of support from the Wellington Free Ambulance, from New Zealand Police and Surfing for Farmers. Those letters outline the work we do, work that's vital to the health, I believe, to the health and well-being of that community. As Charlie said, we spend, in an ordinary amount, we spend over $10,000 in our first aid training to enable our lifeguards to arrive in an incident and perform to the highest standard. 8 of our regional lifeguards are currently trained to pre-hospital emergency care, and 2 can also administer methoxyfluorine fluorine, which is a pretty severe drug, which is needed at times if you've got some people that really need it. With the Wellington Free Ambulance, a memorandum of understanding has existed for over 10 years. We were the first of its kind in New Zealand. So when a 111 call is made, if someone is down the Homewood Road and they've fallen off a ladder, they dial 111, we immediately get a text or we get a call to ask if we can respond. We respond as quickly as we can, which is sometimes 5 or 10 minutes, compared to 45 minutes. As you all know, it's about 45 minutes, 50 minutes out to the beach. We get there, for 50% of the time it's Mike Taylor, who is our local legend. He's got everything in the back of the car, and trust me, we save lives. So over the years, we've done strokes, we've done heart attacks, chainsaw injuries, allergy attacks, people falling off ladders, accidents on quads, farm bikes. It's a huge range. Fire and Emergency, Police and SAR. Now, Fire and Emergency New Zealand operate a base within our club rooms. Within our office, they've got all their gear. So if the balloon goes up, something serious happens at the coast, our club becomes the centre of that search and rescue, together with New Zealand Police and Wairarapa Search and Rescue. So we are the hub for anything that does go down on our coastline. Surfing for Farmers. I'm sure you're all aware of Surfing for Farmers. What a cool initiative. And we've been so thrilled to be part of it. And we've been running that in conjunction with Powco at the beach for the last 5 years. And to see 45 or 50 farmers come together on a Thursday and just have a couple of beers and do some surfing, and for their headspace, what a great program. And we're very pleased to be part of it. Beach education, Charlie already spoke to that. 19 schools last year. With the amount of schools that are closing their local pools, some of these kids, they arrive at our beach. Trust me, they haven't even been in the water, some of these kids. So it's, again, a very cool program, and we're thrilled to be part of it, and it's our lifeguards that are performing those teaching services. And as a community facility, we currently have hosted or host the following workshops, trainings and meetings. The Rural Fire hold all their trainings at our club. The Riversdale Community Association, the Fishing Club and the Golf Club all have their meetings or various workshops at the club. The Wairarapa DHB, when COVID was around, it was our building that was used to administer the various vaccines, etc. The ANZ Bank have their workshops there, the Red Cross, the Masterton District Council. We welcomed the council out in regard to the long-term plan for Riversdale Beach. We also host Pilates, yoga and wellness groups for the local community of Homewood, Tanui, and that's all at no cost. We're a community facility. We built it on that basis and we'll continue to use it as that basis. So, together in that document you'll also see some signage for Castle Point. When I stood here 3 years ago, we made a commitment to the councillors that we would do what we could to improve beach safety at Castle Point. We did a coastal survey and that showed us where the risk areas were at Castle Point, and there's a lot of risk areas at Castle Point because you've got not only the main beach, you've got the launching area where the big boats go out, you've got the reef, which of course everyone can get pretty up sideways on if they need to. But I'll show you the signage is there. We are going to be putting that signage in place this winter for Castle Point, and that will be at our cost. And we made that commitment to the council 3 years ago that we would support Castle Point. The last document is an outline from the CEO of Surf Lifesaving New Zealand regarding the recent funds received from the government to surf lifesaving and New Zealand Coast Guard. Now, Steve Fisher, the CEO, outlines that the funding received does not cover the paid lifeguard services on any beach in New Zealand. So that money that we are going to get, which is marvellous, will all go into CAPEX expenses. We need, for instance, a new garage. We're running out of room. We need more rescue equipment. So we'll be able to tap into that money for the $50,000 it's going to cost us to put a new garage up, a double garage on our site. And I guess if I could finish this submission on a rather sombre note, regional guard training for us starts in July. The application for positions, including those at Riversdale, opens on August the 1st. They close a month later. The trials, tests and scenario testing, all done by Charlie's staff, around the swimming pools and beaches are held in September, and then the appointments are made in the beginning of October. So if we were, as a club, placed in the contestable funding round in September with a decision in October from the council, to be honest, we wouldn't be in a position to employ contracts with funding not secure. It'd be very difficult for us to go to a guard in July and August and say, we'll give you a job without the surety that we've got the money. So we're kind of in a, we're a bit caught. So as I said, my submission is around shifting us. We've been very privileged to be in the long-term plan for the last 3 years, which has enabled us to really just to do what we do without having to worry about where it's going to come from. So thank you for your time today. Really appreciate it. And any questions, please.
Councillor Johnson.
Yeah, hi Dave, thanks.
How are you?
Hey Charlie. Just a question, you know how you talk about the council's funding goes towards paid lifeguard positions?
Yes.
And in your cost breakdown you put wages at 56k.
Yes.
Is that those paid positions?
Absolutely.
Okay, and we don't give you fund to that level?
No.
So where are you getting money from at the moment?
I run a quiz night every year. And I'm not sure whether any of you have been to our quiz night. We run a quiz night. We have an auction afterwards where I get items, I get fishing trips, I get various people donate stuff.
Yeah.
That raises, to be fair, about 12 to 13,000. We're very privileged. We've got a great community. I run a fishing auction. So all the local fishermen go out, but we can't do that every year because of the weather conditions.
Yeah.
The shortfall, we have to find it.
So primarily at the moment, council is your main funder?
For our wages, Beck? Yes, it is. Absolutely. Yep.
And then you know how you've got your uniforms and other costs? They come from your auction night and quiz nights?
No, some of the uniforms, etc., are paid for by Surf Lifesaving New Zealand.
Oh, yeah.
So we get some operational money from Surf Lifesaving New Zealand, so that covers some of our operational expenses. So our fuel bill's huge because we're running 4 IRBs, we're running 2 rescue vehicles. Our admin, it's a lot to administer our wee club. We run 220 kids in our NIPA program. There's administration around that. So, yes.
You know, that's cool.
Sorry.
Any further questions? Councillor Holmes, Councillor Helena.
Thank you, Dave. You do a great job.
Pleasure.
I'm aware the medical services are very lacking in Riversdale and Castle Point, and everybody relies on few people to do it. Is there anybody at Castle Point yet being trained up for the medical side of things?
I don't believe so. We are, if I can just jump back to Riversdale, which we've been quite privileged, Katie, who runs the centre at Kirapuni, who's a nurse practitioner, she's now spending 3 hours a week on a Tuesday, I think, at the beach, which has been marvellous for some of the elderly population that live in the environs of Homedale and around that area, that they can go in. I'm not aware of anyone that does anything at Castle Point.
So you have to pick that up.
Yeah, it's a shame.
If there's an emergency.
Look, the times we go to Castle Point are usually under sad times, when we're doing body recovery, when we're helping in rescues. Hopefully the signage that we will be paying to put in place will go some way to just drawing attention. There's no signage there at the moment, so we want to put the signage there and actually say, look, please be aware, don't stand on the reef. And the signage, if you see in the booklet, has it's like they're a personal rescue device. So you grab it. So if Gary's in the water, we've got to get to him. We can get in as far as we can. We throw this device at Gary. Hopefully you catch it, and then we can pull you back. But it's something that isn't there at the moment.
I wouldn't trust this one.
They'll throw it. Honestly, they will throw it.
Don't worry about Gary.
Councillor Lena?
Thank you for your presentation, gentlemen. I'm, one of the challenges of this team around here is deciding which of these multiple initiatives are deserving of funding. And there's so many initiatives that are so important for our community. I guess just throwing that challenge back to you guys, if you were prioritising funding in this long-term plan, what advice might you give us so that initiatives like this can be funded?
Look, it is difficult for the council to decide where they're going to put their money. I guess I've seen the club grow in 20 years to become something that's really needed in our wider community. I don't say that lightly. I know what we do on the beach. Charlie's outlined that. The figures speak for themselves. I just look at what we do in the wider community. So I think the council has an obligation to ensure that the community is well looked after for its well-being. And so if money's going to be spent, then I think it needs to be spent to capture that community and ensure that they're as safe as they can be. So if a farmer is way down on the Homewood Road and he's in all sorts of trouble, that we can get to him and we can help him. And I've seen our club, and through my initiatives and other Mike Taylor's, we've grown that. And so I think if the council has to make some choices, some hard choices, then it's about the well-being of its community. Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Bowyer.
Thank you, Doug. Just in the future, can you please make us very aware of when your auction ends?
Well, you can simply give, what you could give me, you just give me your bank account number and then it'll...
Councillor Goodman and Councillor Tudor.
So that 56,000 in wages, is that for the 2,700 paid hours?
Yes, that's just for this coming, that was for last summer.
Yep.
So we get currently $40,000 from the council, and we had a shortfall, which we covered ourselves.
Councillor Tudor.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Charlie spoke about supporting people who went home that you managed to keep safe. About how many were you not able to do the same thing for?
I don't think we left it, we have never had a drowning between the flags at Riversdale Beach, ever. So, and that's since 1955 that we've been running. So we pride ourselves that everyone gets home safely if they swim at Riversdale Beach. And the whole coastline. It's frustrating. We have a north tower and a south tower. So at Riversdale Beach, there's a kilometre between the top and the north, but we're often going way down past Urity, and people go out with their cray pots and they get themselves into trouble. And we do a half-hour roving patrol on our quad bike or on our side-by-side, and then we do an IRB sweep of the whole beach all the way to Urity and as far as we can, just to ensure that those people, those recreational people. But to the best of my knowledge, we didn't lose anyone last year, and we've never lost anyone between the flags since 1950, since the flags were here.
You said that you had to re-refer to a cousin flat.
Yep.
That must be soul destroying.
It is. It's frustrating when you're visiting there and you're going there for a body recovery or a rescue situation where your heart's in your mouth. You're not sure whether you're going to actually, it's going to work in everyone's favour. So hopefully by putting the signage up, we're also talking to the local surfers that go to Castle Point, and there's something called Surfing 24/7. So we're going to these surfers and saying, you're out there all the time. How about we give you some skill sets? So that we'll give, if David's out there on a surfboard and he actually sees someone in trouble, he actually feels confident enough to go across to that person and bring him to the beach and give him CPR or do something to help him. So we intend, and we've already spoken to the surfers that are at our beach, so we're having hopefully a community meeting together with the Castle Point board to get these surfers and actually say, look, we're not going to jump all over you about when and when you don't surf, but if you're surfing and you see something, can we give you some skill sets to help you?
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Any further questions? Thank you so much, David. I'm not allowed to, as chair, to actually congratulate you on your submission, but what I am going to do is congratulate you on the service that you provide the community. Thank you so much.
Okay, have a good day. Thank you.
Okay, 11:20 have we got? We might go online to the... Hi Alan, can you hear me?
Good morning to you. Good morning, Kerry. Good morning, you're quietly confident.
Can you hear Alan?
Yes.
Hi Alan. Alan, thank you for coming and submitting to us. You've got 7 minutes to speak to us and we have 3 minutes for questions. So we'll just let you go.
Okay, we're ready to go with our catalyst. Ngā mihi mai o hā ki a koutou kua tai mai ki tēnei hui. Ko tararua rātou ko huki toi, ko rua hine nā pai maunga, ko oahanga rawa ko mātai kona nā awa, ko whareama ki runga, ko poroporo ki raro. Ko pāpa uma te tangata, ko pāpa uma te marae, ko mātou te hiko o pāpa uma. O reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Whakataka te hau ki te uru, whakataka te hau ki te tonga. Kia mākina kina ki uta, kia mātaratara ki tai. He hi ake ana te atākura, he tu, he hoka, tihei mauriora. Ka huri ea, i a koe, Anita.
Kia ora Artemis and kia ora to Council. Firstly, thank you very much for the opportunity to contribute towards the long-term planning process that you're going through. My name is Anita Broughton and I'm speaking on behalf of Te Hiko Papuma mandated iwi authority. In attendance here today with me, I am joined by the Chair, Alan Jua, also a Trustee, Sarah Knight, and Artemis Ryan, who opened up our hui. So kia ora. I'm just going to go through and start sharing my screen. Is everyone able to see it?
Yes, we can see that.
Lovely. Okay. Great. So I'm just going to start with we're just going to go through in a moment. At the moment, I'm just trying to flick through to the other screen, which isn't sharing. I'm just going to try to share again. Lovely. Okay, can you see the second slide now?
Yes.
Fabulous. All right. Okay, so firstly, just want to provide a background to Te Hiko Papuma. So Te Hiko Papuma are an ancient people, and we predate all European contact with Aotearoa. So our eponymous ancestor, Papuma herself, as you can see there, she's a direct descendant of Kupe, ninth generation direct descendant of Kupe, and is considered Te Aitanga a Kupe, which is offspring of Kupe. So Te Hiko Papuma have maintained mana whenua and mana moana in perpetuity since Kupe landed in the east coast over 1,000 years ago. So you'll see there we have a strong relationship with Rangitane through our shared whakapapa through Te Aitanga a Kupe, as well as a strong relationship also with the other iwi, Ngāti Kahununu, through the union of Rākai Hekuroa and Papuma. However, the link to our traditional lands and to our mana whenua comes directly from our ancestress Papuma and through her direct lineage to Kupe. So our mana whenua mana moana, just got up there. So our mana whenua mana moana stretches from Poroporo in the north right down through to Whariama in the south. So this is commonly known as the Castle Point Purchase Block, for those of you familiar with that land sale. And it stretches out through to the Puketoi Range. So Te Hiko Papuma have primary mana whenua rights and interests within these traditional boundaries. However, by no means are these exclusive, and we share these with other hapu and iwi groups as well, including Rangitane, Ngāti Kahununu, and their associated hapu. So our traditional area is a smaller part of a wider traditional mana whenua mana moana held by others in the area as well. Also here we have the coastline stretching from Poroporo to Whariama as well, and Te Hiko Papuma are one of the notifying authorities for the appointment of kaitiaki from Poroporo through to Whariama. In fact, I am one of the tangata kaitiaki on behalf of Te Hiko Papuma. So that's the area in which we say is our traditional lands. Here we are, our traditional land covers the Masterton District Council area, also covers the Tararua, Horizons and Greater Wellington Regional Council. So four bodies kind of fall within our traditional lands. We were established in 2015 after a nationwide ratification process. And our key purposes really are to protect, uphold and enhance the mana of Papuma. That's Papuma, our ancestress, and the importance for us of maintaining her cultural identity, given who she is and her lineage to Kupe, and that she neither descends from Rangitane or Kahununu. So for us, it's important that we uphold and enhance her mana for the sake of our children, so that they have a cultural identity that they're aware of and can connect to, and that's upheld, as well as promoting, revitalising and promoting Papumatanga. Another key purpose is to maintain mana whenua and mana moana within our traditional area. The final wish of Papuma was Paua te whenua kia mau tonu, and that is assert yourself upon the land and hold on to it forever. And so that is one of the key goals for us at the Iwi Authority, is to uphold her final wish. And and maintaining mana whenua mana moana goes a long way to doing that. What we are seeking for is part of being part and contributing to this process, and hopefully being part of a long-term future with the Masterton District Council and others, is we're seeking partnership as an iwi authority. In accordance with the Local Government Act 2002, what we are seeking for is recognition as a mana whenua, mana moana representative body on behalf of our members, and also to seek meaningful engagement and partnership with the council. So, and doing this on behalf of our registered members, whom we have over 850. So thank you for your time, and that is really what we're wanting to do. And just want to finish with te whakaputanga, a declaration that the trustees have taken on. And this is that we, the descendants of Te Hiko Papuma, affirm our authority to determine our relationships to the land, the sea, to one another, and to all peoples. Paua te whenua kia mau tonu. Final wish of Papuma. Assert yourself upon the land and hold on to it forever. So we're seeking partnership with the Masterton District Council to be able to uphold this ohaki with you. Kia ora. That's our presentation. And so if the council have any questions.
Are there any questions? Councillor Johnson.
Kia ora. Thank you for your presentation. Just a question. You mentioned you've got around 850 registered members. Because we're one of 4 councils in the Wairarapa region, how many members, do you have any idea of how many of your members might be Masterton based?
Oh, not at the top of my head, but there are a number. I would think at least a third of our members would be around the Masterton district area.
Yeah. The reason I'm asking that is that because we have 4 territorial licensing authorities and what's in one region, it can sometimes get quite parochial and be a bit confusing. And you cover further north and further south.
Sure, yeah, that's correct. So, which is a challenge for us and also, I guess, an opportunity. So what we would be looking for inside of a relationship with the council is to be involved in the area that covers the same area that we both share. And so being involved in projects and initiatives that are inside of our traditional area so that we can contribute to them.
Yeah, my other question too, are you doing the same presentation to all the local authorities spread throughout your area?
We had previously been involved in submission processes. This is our most recent, but certainly we do want to be involved. We have previously been involved. We've submitted earlier to the Greater Wellington Regional Council. We have relationship with Horizons and also with Tararua. So we are seeking a similar relationship and ability to contribute to all councils, all bodies, in fact, all people's groups who fall within our traditional area to look after it.
Okay, Joe.
To support it.
Kia ora whānau. Ko Joe Hayes tōku ingoa. I'm the iwi rep for Rangitani on the council here. I just have a couple of questions for you. Where is your claim, your deed of settlement claim up to with the Crown?
The deed is, in terms of the treaty settlement process, Te Hiko Papuma is included in both the Rangitani and Kahungunu settlement. So with Rangitani, what we have is a relationship clause. So we have a relationship clause with the Rangitani Settlement Negotiations Trust, where we look to better reflect our relationship. So in terms of the treaty settlement process, using the large natural grouping policy, unfortunately for us, the government put us inside of both the Rangitani and Kahungunu settlement, even though you can clearly see we don't actually whakapapa te Rangitani. And that's the large natural grouping policy that they put in place that has impacted a lot of smaller groups such as ourselves. And so we are currently sitting inside of those settlements. So what we have with Rangitani is an understanding that the ancestor Papuma is the eponymous ancestor of Papuma. Papuma has our own distinct identity, has exercised and continues to exercise mana whenua and mana moana in its traditional rohe. As part of exercising mana whenua, mana moana, Te Hiko Papuma has the right to directly engage with any and all parties as it deems appropriate. So Rangitane have acknowledged that we do not descend whakapapa from Rangitane, although we have we support each other and are doing that. So does that answer your question?
Yeah. And my second question is, you talked about, and it's a supplementary really to Councillor Beck's question around your relationships with other councils. You said you have a relationship with Tararua and Horizons Regional Council, and you've also had a talk with Greater Wellington, is that correct?
Yes, we have been involved in the submission process previously for the Greater Wellington Regional Council.
Is that a submission process or is that a relationship?
A submission process, and a relationship that we're building.
Okay. So from this council, in your submission, you are seeking a formal relationship with this council as a iwi mandated authority?
Yeah, just recognition as a representative body, a representative mana whenua mana moana, representing Te Hiko Papuma registered members. Yes.
Hi, can I step in there, please? Is that all right, Anita?
Yes, sure, Sarah.
Kia ora koutou, ko hera Sarah tōku ingoa. Apologies, I'm a little mawiri, so my voice is a bit off. But I just wanted to speak to what we're looking at with our te tile development and within the freshwater monitoring and restoration projects. We were impacted on the ground, as you may be aware, with runoff and soil. And we're hoping to meet with all vested parties to have our whenua restored and have the moana restored.
Thank you very much. Well, thanks so much for your submission. We deliberate early next month and we go from there. So thank you very much.
Lovely. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Right, Owen Marin. Oh, and you've been here to watch it 7 minutes, three minutes?
I'll be a lot less than 7 minutes, I can assure you. I'm a sprinter. Just thank you for the opportunity to
Could you
speak.
speak into the microphone?
This one here?
If you sit down there, Owen.
I'll sit down. Thanks, Karen. It's like being at school again.
Stella, one of our councillors is on a line.
Sure.
You can only hear if you speak into the microphone.
Okay. Well, just thanks for the opportunity this morning to speak to this. It's something I noticed, and you will see in the little information I've provided, come across, and I thought this is an excellent initiative by Masterton Borough Council, so I thought I would try and engender some support for it. Come the time, and obviously this is the time. It concerns obviously the companion pet initiative that Masterton engendered, and I contacted them to see what the response was. Dave Morris is the animal control officer. He said it had been very receptive. They'd had positive feedback because of it, and they intended obviously to keep it going. I did ask him, percentage-wise, what was that for these people that took up this discount as opposed to general licensing, but he didn't have that information. And I also asked their office, and they said that would be a bit difficult to assess, just to get an overall opinion of, or a scenario of what it was like, how many people have done. Now, the positives I feel in this that I request that Masterton look seriously at is that these dogs are generally very well looked after. Everybody knows how important they are in the lives of that age group, and particularly those people who live alone, and both physically and mentally, they're just such an important part of their lives. Often these people, like myself, are on fixed incomes, so it would be a little relief for them, and they in respect of contributing to the animal welfare, animal control here in Masterton, they will be contributing at $75 per dog. You know, and I just feel in the circumstances, this would be a nice goodwill gesture by the council to those people who, at large, I would say, have contributed quite a bit to the economic coffers of Masterton Council down through the years. And of course, the constraint of the economic times at the moment suggests that this would be something worthwhile for the Masterton Council to have a serious look at and adopt. So, that's it.
Thank you so much, Alan. Any questions for Alan? Councillor Goodman.
No, the SPCA told us that it costs a couple of thousand or a bit more per dog for people to look after, to own, feed and take to the vet, etc. And I'm just curious what the dog fees, you would seek a discount on them. It seems a small part of the cost of owning a dog, but you want the other ratepayers to pick it up.
Brent, I would contest that figure, particularly in my own circumstances. I own 2 terriers, and I'm saying particularly my circumstances, that the fee is by far and away the biggest cost. I haven't been to the vets only once in 10 years, blah, blah, and I just feel that that is not really a consideration that they spend so much on their individual dogs. I just feel they are contributing $75 if you agree to it, and I can think in this the target people are these people whose dogs are well looked after, and really then there is very little impost on your animal control. That's what I would understand. I'm not sure. So they're really, to the council, they're not a cost really, and they contribute.
Any further questions? No further questions. Thank you, Alan.
Thanks for your consideration.
Stella might have one for you, Alan.
Oh, good man, Gary.
I do. Hi, Owen. I'm just behind you, the big face on the screen. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I just wanted to ask you, were you aware of the current responsible dog owner discount that council offers?
Responsible dog owner, yeah, $20 or something like that, and it pertains to the fenced-in area. And is that the ownership one you're talking about? Yeah, well, I mean, that's great. I mean, any initiative of that, but it's slightly, well, I found it myself, slightly restrictive because I don't have a setup like that. Quite a good setup, but not a separate entrance for visitors, you know. And I trust my dogs to be absolutely non-aggressive. They're part of my security. They bark a bit. But other than that, sorry. No, but I just think this is more broad spectrum and affects more people, that's all.
Thank you.
And I'm quite happy for the council to really look at responsible ownership and spread it a bit wider, because we all like to be responsible with our dogs, and it's a good thing to have responsible owners. They have generally good, well-behaved dogs.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, thanks so much, Alan.
Okay, thanks for your time, folks. Appreciate that.
No. Okay, Luke.
Go home and exercising.
Luke.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, Luke. You get 7 minutes to speak to us, Luke. We get 3 minutes.
Oh, I'll be pretty quick.
Okay, Luke.
My question to you, like I'm 78 years of age, is we're looking at what you're going to do with the town hall here. Has the council got any ideas which way they're going to go? Because
This is what this is about, Luke. After this, we deliberate after these hearings.
well, I see. Okay, well, I'm in a community with a lot of elderly retired people, and I find things, as everyone is, the amount of money you get now is disappearing quicker than what we used to get. And of course, we would support actually demolition of that building, turn it into a park area with maybe a landing there, so every now and then the town could have people doing performing arts one way or the other. I like the idea of the seating you got there. I wonder, have you got any idea how many people use that area at the lunchtime, or more in the summer, less in the winter? I would understand. And I think that would be good to have a green area for the town. That's what I would like to put forward to you. Another thing, the gentleman just left with the dogs and that, where we live in Kiru Place, we're connected to Carcass Street. Carcass Street has always been a thorn in our sides with miscellaneous people moving in, ownership of dogs, they roam around freely and doing things like that. The dog ranger that surveys the area, quite a nice chugger, and he tries to keep on top of it. But some of these people hide their dogs when they know a ranger or police are around or anything like that. Next thing, the dogs are running around your backyard and everything. Maybe a better watch on that would go down a lot better. Another problem you got, like you're doing your roadings up in town. I think the government has now put the tonnage for trucks up. I've noticed that where work has been done has been torn up by big trucks. Walking here from the car park further up the road, this large truck and trailer came down to the roundabout here and then headed east, where you would have to go on through town. Isn't there another way that trucking could go rather than tear your town roads up, which they do, and of course the extra tonnage is putting pressure on the foundations and that. Any piping, water pipe, sewage or anything like that underneath, they're eventually going to tear it up, and that's going to be a bigger cost for the council. If they can constrict them out to the further ends of the town and maybe smaller trucking allowed to feed into the town, I don't know how you would do it, but that's about all I've got.
Thank you, Luke. Thank you so much. Any questions for Luke? Yeah, Councillor Lena.
Thank you, Luke, for coming in. Just sort of wondering if you could explain a little bit more around some of the cost of living issues that elderly that you know of are facing.
Yes, well, we're all facing it all. I have no doubt you'll all recognise what's going to go on with the government and that. And a three-party government is nothing more than disaster in my view, but you never know, they may work it out. Every time the government's gave me a bit of extra money for me living in that, up goes the price of electricity, up goes rates, up goes this, up goes that. Food's definitely gone up. Petrol, well, just under $3 a litre. So everything intrudes. First foyer, I used to live in the Tararus for a long time. Your first foyer into Masterton, so I had to sell up due to having a heart attack and come into town to be closer to the hospital. And rates were quite reasonable. And I understand rates going up due to whatever the council is going to spend the money on. But it's just gone up and up annum. I know you have put forward that rates will go up steadily until they get to a certain level, and that'll be it until whatever happens. We are lucky in our elderly age that we get a rebate, and that helps extraordinarily well. But we are coming to a level where it's get to a point where you're going to have to figure out, am I going to have fish and chips or just boiled spuds? That's all I've got.
Thank you very much, Luke. Well, thanks for your presentation, Luke. We deliberate on all this next month, so...
Yeah, just something to hold.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Right, John Hart, Fab Lab.
Kia ora, Zato.
7 minutes, 3 minutes, you know the rules, John.
I know the drill. It'll take 5 seconds to grab some water. Now, I'm conscious that I think I'm the last person before lunch, so I'll try and keep it as brief as possible.
If you could talk into the microphone, Stella's just having some difficulty hearing.
Sorry, Stella, is that better? All right, so I wanted to raise a couple of things with you this morning around the Fab Lab's response to the long-term plan. The Fab Lab has been a very grateful recipient of three-yearly funding through the LTP period previously. While the dollar amount may be the same between the current 3-year funding period or a annual contestable round, we can see some large differences in how that'll affect our operation as a Fab Lab. I'd like to say that the 3-year period has had a hugely positive impact on the Fab Lab in terms of our operations. Having that security of base funding has really given us a lot of security to expand our offering. So with the MOU we signed with Council 5 years ago, we agreed to do 1 open lab per week. We've doubled that in the last 12 months because we felt reasonably confident about the funding that we had. We've also had a lot of space and energy to engage in other activities that aren't just chasing money. Anyone that's been involved in a charity or a trust will know that you spend a lot of time fundraising. And so for us, the last 3 years has been an absolute breath of fresh air that we could actually focus on delivering great service to the community and not be chasing funding constantly, because it does take up a huge amount of our time otherwise. So one example I'd like to bring up is the pie flue that we carved for the Whitipoa Bridge. Now that was it was almost a fluke that happened from our point of view. We were in the lab one day and Sam Tato came in and said, "Oh, we've got this project underway." And he showed me some of the photographs from the bridge designers that they had proposed to put on the carvings. And I was trying to be as polite as I could, but I said to Sam, "These look like clip art. These look like pretty kitschy, pictures of Tui and pictures of some cabbage trees," and it was pretty iconic sort of stuff, but it looked very like clip art. And I said, what if we work with local artists to actually really make something special? And at that point, he hadn't realised that the Fab Lab had this capability in our CNC machine to actually do the carving. So that was a sort of a beautiful accident that we happened to make Sam aware of our capabilities and were able to do that. But that was because we were in the lab. I was working on some other projects, all because we had the extra funding and the extra security of knowing that we were going to be there. So it's hard to quantify sometimes what good will come of these situations, but I can just tell you what's happened for us. So really, what it means for us is without the certainty of a 3-year funding model, we will have to withdraw back to a much more conservative stance at the lab. We have to watch what we spend on. We have to focus more on fundraising and commercial work, which brings in money as well. We've always done commercial work in the lab, but it's never been a large focus for us, mainly because it doesn't benefit the community directly. We much prefer to do work that actually is interacting with the community. One other point of concern that we'd like to raise is there's mention in the long-term plan documents that there are 3 other organisations that will join the funding pool as their funding arrangements run out. Our query is, will those organisations bring funding with them to that pool, or are they going to be competing with the other organisations in the pool for the same amount of money? Obviously that changes the complexion quite a bit as to the nature of the contestability and the chances of getting future funding. So I'm not sure if council has an ability to answer that today, but if Destination Wairarapa and there's two others, Puka and yes, if they join that same contestable funding pool, that's 3 large sharks in a pool full of minnows that we kind of see as possibly a risk to the future of how that's going to work. So we'd like to understand how that would work. And thirdly, the library and archive upgrade. Over many years, we've worked towards working with the library in a more collaborative way. And say 5 years ago, we signed the MOU with council to basically partner with the library, which included the use of the space in that prefab building as our makerspace. Our concern is that in the current proposal, or certainly the council's preferred proposal, there is no mention of what happens to the current use of that building. So the Fab Lab is in one of the prefab buildings. Those 3 prefabs are all slated to leave the site under the proposal. So our question is what happens to the Fab Lab's physical space? And if there is a plan for us to integrate into the new library building, that'd be great, but we haven't seen that in the documents so far. So again, it'd be great to get some clarity around those if possible. But I appreciate this is more for you to ask me questions than asking you questions today. So that's all I wanted to raise. I'm very happy to answer anything else you want to bring up.
Okay, John. Brent, Councillor Goulburn.
Could you just, you doubled the number of hours the lab was open. How many hours did it go from to?
Right, so normally it's open on a Friday afternoon from 1 to 5. We've included Monday 1 to 5 in the same process. So we've gone from 4 hours to 8 hours a week of open lab.
And is that what happens in that prefab the rest of the time? Is that?
So the lab can be used by either the library, so there are library staff that come and use the lab. So we basically maintain all the machinery, all the equipment in the lab in a state that someone can walk in and make something. So that's a service that we basically provide to the library in terms of keeping the lab available for them to use. And I know they use it for teaching, and I know that they do come and make things in there as well when we're not in the lab. Outside of the open times, the lab is available for us to use for commissions or appointments. We often get groups that want to come and see us outside of the open times, so we'll just make an appointment with them and see them. So the lab is still operating all through the week. It's just only open to the public on those 2 days, Monday and Friday.
Any further questions for John? John, the questions you ask, as you say, this isn't the place for us to answer them, but we have taken the note, obviously, of the questions you have asked, and we can get back to you on those particular issues.
Great, I appreciate that.
Okay, John, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And we get into our discussions early next month and see what happens.
Look forward to hearing more. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Okay, councillors, we're now going to recess for lunch, and we're back at 1 o'clock. Thank you.
Can I ask a question when we're off?
So that, TV.